the information superhighway, an online network called Internet.
How do we...
Are we recording?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I didn't know we started. I was waiting for you to start.
How do we start?
I don't think we do. We just kind of go into it.
I feel like we should start.
Okay. Do you want to have like a more grandiose kind of like...
I don't know. I feel like...
We're back, bitches!
Oh, God. There we go.
Is that what you want?
Yeah. Hey, everybody.
Right.
Welcome to the Online Podcast. The first and only digital audio cast.
That's
I'm
correct.
John C. Riley.
And I'm C. John Riley.
Holy shit. We're off to a great start, folks. Hey, Scott.
Hi.
You want to talk about the elephant in the room?
What's the elephant in the room?
We've been gone for a while.
That is... I don't...
Kind of a genuine elephant.
It doesn't feel that long. How long has it been?
From what I can tell, 4 months.
Just 4 months?
Yeah.
That can't be right.
That's what YouTube said. Let me
Oh,
check.
okay.
September.
It does feel like... Because I joked when I said it didn't feel long. It honestly felt like closer to 6 to 8 months.
It's felt like years.
It really has.
If I'm being honest.
Mostly due to all the people who are like, hey, when's the new episode coming out?
And then there was none.
And then there was none.
Let's see. So the last one, according to the YouTube page, is episode 31, Comic or Nomic. Which, let's get a little taste of that.
Titles don't help me out at all.
Skip ahead a bit.
Skip ahead. What did we talk about?
Comic or Nomic, apparently.
Comic or Nomic.
Let's get a little bite.
Give me a little soundbite. Leading auditions to get to shock them into being on the team or whatever. And then...
Was it quiet for you?
Yeah, it was very quiet.
Well, it's not really quiet for me. It's kind of normal for me.
Oh, I couldn't hear anything that was happening.
All right, you know what? There wasn't much going on.
Okay.
Let's just forget about that.
Okay.
We're going to start off on a new slate.
Yeah, let's not dive into the past.
Let's
move forward.
I feel like most of the people watching this are very confused.
Mm-hmm.
For the sole fact that this is now on my YouTube channel.
Oh, correct.
So we might want to explain what's happening.
My name is not C. John Riley.
No, it is not.
It is not.
Say your catchphrase.
I'm Scott.
Yeah. Yeah.
Apparently that's my catchphrase.
Yeah. I'm Dylan, also known as Oral.
What an exciting catchphrase, by the way. I can't wait for t-shirts to be made that just say, I'm Scott, period.
Yes, I'm on board with that. So, hi, my audience, and probably, most of you probably know who Scott is, or not. I don't know.
I don't know.
There's actually quite a few new people here from Comic Storian.
There you go.
Which this is the first thing I'm uploading since that influx of new people. So
fantastic. Well, hey, go subscribe to NerdSync on YouTube. It's much better.
YouTube.com/NerdSync.
That's not it. That's not it. Can I
sabotage the
So
plug.
actually, genuinely, we're experiencing a glitch with my vanity URL because it either will redirect to and say that it doesn't exist.
Oh.
Or it will take you to youtube.com/nerdsync, which is not me. It's a person who uploaded 2 videos total.
I didn't even know that they had videos up.
Yeah, they have 2 videos, and they're like Pokemon video, Let's Play videos.
Fascinating.
One of them actually has like 15,000 views on it, and I'm wondering if that's just because people are being redirected to their channel when they're trying to search us, but maybe who knows.
So, I would like to explain what's going on.
Yes, sorry, I'm distracted.
No, it's fine. It's it's a good example of what the hell this is.
Mm-hmm.
This is the Online Podcast. It is a podcast that my buddy Scott here and
That's me. I'm Scott.
We kind of started on a whim like 2 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a very sleep-deprived night where we hobbled together a podcast, which started as a live streaming podcast.
That's true.
With video and everything.
Mm-hmm.
But it slowly devolved into this offline.
Where was it live streamed to?
The Nerd's second channel.
Was it the Sidekick or was it the podcast channel?
I think it was Sidekick.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh wow, I don't remember that.
It was either Sidekick or my channel.
Yeah, I thought it was your channel.
I think we streamed to my channel. Yeah.
Yeah.
So some people might know what this is.
Okay.
But
So it's not entirely fresh and new.
no, but this version that you're seeing with hopefully some pretty cool visuals.
Yeah.
Is
Can we throw like a? Oh, can we like actually make visual callouts to throw things up on
absolutely
screen?
not.
Okay.
I'm not editing this any more than I need to.
All right.
And I don't have my book with me, so I wouldn't be able to make notes to make that easy.
That's fair.
So the book is dead. Book's gone.
The book no longer exists. I broke one of your pine cones over here. I apologize.
That's fine.
The
As
top
long
came
as it's
off.
not the one that Kevin brought me back from Colorado.
Oh, which one's that one?
It's that one.
This
the
one?
Slightly different
Oh,
one.
the
Yeah.
ooh, yeah.
He brought me a present one day and was like, "Hey, I'm gonna bring you a present." And then he walks in.
Brought you a pine cone.
Yeah, and he brought me a pine cone.
That was
from
his idea of a
Colorado.
present.
That was his present. I think it was mostly a joke.
What a
but
good friend.
I liked it. I thought it was funny.
Well, I
and
mean,
nice.
honestly, the fact that he brought it, if he genuinely brought it all the way from Colorado, then like that's actually
I
kind of
think
fun.
he just picked it.
Yeah,
I
I
believe
think
he
he just-
picked it up and was like, "This is a cool pine cone," and then kept
Yeah.
it in his car. And on his way here, saw the pine cone, and was like, "Hey, this will be funny."
Yeah.
And then he texted me.
I thought you were gonna say he probably just saw a pine cone outside of your apartment
No.
and was like, "Ooh, this is
It's different
a
enough
present."
to where I these
all
pine
these are
cones
pretty
come
different.
from potpourri.
Yeah, can we throw a picture of them up on screen?
No,
Okay.
no one. This is just for me.
All right.
No one sees that.
But yeah,
Bad time to take a drink of water.
sure was. So it's really just a podcast where you and I literally just
Talk.
ramble about anything.
Um,
Because we're of that generation where we feel like everything we have to say is so important that we have
Yeah.
to record it for posterity
Exactly.
and make sure that everyone knows all of our thoughts
Yes.
at any given time about any topic.
Correct.
And we are taking suggestions from the audience. So
Yeah,
this is live. So
it
please.
is not our live studio audience, which is definitely
Mhm.
here. But I did want to kind of bring to the table a list of changes.
Yeah.
So, we've started this podcast like 3 times now, and I don't remember if I had said this before, but this is, I believe, our 32nd episode,
Woo!
if things are correct. That being said, there are some changes that I have not discussed with Scott.
Oh man.
Well, I've kind of talked about them in the past.
Did we talk about just like briefly for all the old fans who are wondering what happened to all the different
We'll get into
episodes?
that.
Okay, yeah.
I'm still kind of trying to brief it to the
all right.
probably a lot
You're-
of new people who are
You're
going to see this.
absolutely correct.
Yeah. So in the past, our ruling has been we don't talk about comic books on this show,
Yeah.
and that was because, as I believe Scott so eloquently put it in a YouTube or in a tweet on the online podcast Twitter, basically just saying that we both have comic book YouTube channels and we don't want this podcast to devolve into a comic cast.
You're gonna throw a curveball my way.
That rule is no longer in play.
It wasn't really in play to begin with, I feel.
I think it was in play. I
Really?
stopped many conversations that could have led deeper into comic books.
Fair enough.
But I'm just saying that because this is on a YouTube channel called Orum's Comics now.
That's fair.
So if we want to talk about comic books, we have every right to talk about comic books.
Sure.
So you're okay with that?
I'm fine with that.
Cool.
Just don't expect me to be all the way up to date on a lot of things.
No, I'm
I'm-
3 weeks behind currently.
I mean, you know me. I like to wait until volumes and trades come out. I'm not much of a current reader. Plus, there's so many great old stories that I'm catching up on
yeah,
still
for sure.
from like years before I was born.
I just read this one.
Yeah, I was looking at that. What is that?
It's good. It's an Alan Moore Superman story.
Oh, rad.
This Alan Moore wrote the last Superman story.
And Kurt Swan, you're burying the lead.
that's the artist,
Yeah, I don't know who that is.
I believe. But get this out of here. Yeah, it's called Whatever Happens to Man of Tomorrow.
Okay. So, yes, I've heard of that book for sure.
Yeah.
I was just gonna say, I imagine Kurt Swan is like our most dedicated listener, and he heard me be like, I don't know who that is, and he's just like sadly crying into his copy of
Single
Whatever
tear.
Happened to the Man of Tomorrow.
But no.
onto the online podcast artwork that he was drawing and gonna
no.
surprise us
Fan
with.
art. Kurt Swan, if you're out there listening, please
You
continue.
are a true swan. Don't let this be your swan song.
I was gonna make a swan sound joke. Anyway, we're hilarious.
Oh man.
Um,
Look forward to more of that.
yeah.
Hard-heading comedy. That's a
Yikes.
phrase.
It sure isn't. But yeah, so Whatever Happened to the Man of Tomorrow was fun. The reason I read it
I've
was
heard it.
because
I've heard it's one of the better. Like a lot of people say it's one of the best Superman stories.
yeah, it's my favorite Superman story for sure. I haven't read many Superman stories, admittedly,
Mhm.
and I've been a very clear critic of Superman in the past. But this is a story that makes me both appreciate Superman, what he stands for, and shows that you can tell very interesting stories with Superman. Even though it does kind of hit on my point of, to make Superman interesting, you have to make him evil or kill him.
Yeah.
And that is one of these.
Is that what happens in here?
He dies, yeah. It's set 10 years after Superman dies.
That's
it's told in
freaking rad.
flashbacks. But yeah, it's really good. Like, there's this image, which is great.
That's literally the first image.
It's part of the comic, but
Right,
like, this
but-
is also another one which I used in a
Oh
thumbnail.
yeah, I've
They
seen that
can't
one
see any
before.
of this,
Can
but
we throw it up on screen real quick?
Nope.
All right.
if you do want to know more about this story, though, this is something that I did want to plug, and some of you might know this already. But I'll explain here. We can kind of get into where we've been.
Mhm.
The reason that I've been kind of radio silent, both on my channel and this podcast, is kind of twofold. One, I've been, since kind of the new year, I've been trying to work on stuff for other people, whether that be my job or trying to get stuff out for you. Motioning to Scott, not you, the collective.
But also you, the
Yeah.
collective.
Because
It's for all the things that we make are for you,
Yeah.
except Kurt Swan. I'm real sorry, man.
You know what you did.
Stick to the drawing.
Yeah, just stick to your little pencils.
You're
okay?
good.
Go back to the drawing board.
Oh no.
But yeah, so I started one of my goals of 2018, which I have like 5 of them, and I posted them on Twitter, was to get a series on Comic Storian, like host a series on there, because I knew that was a pretty feasible goal and would bring a lot of attention to my channel if I did it right.
Sure.
And I did that.
Yeah.
With originally it was called Marvel's What If. Now it is just called What If, because Benny was like, look, no one's gonna watch it if you keep talking about Marvel, because Marvel's not doing well right now. I was like, fair enough. So that's when I found this one, with Whatever Happened to the Man of Tomorrow. And I didn't I read it digitally, but I bought it physically because I was planning on reviewing it on the show with reviews, which I might still do. But I'm trying to do some different things. If you want me to review Whatever Happened to the Man of Tomorrow, let me know. But yeah, I've been doing that, and then also just recently, this past month, Scott and I have been like trying to make plans to revive the online podcast.
Yeah, in a much grander format than what you're viewing it in right now.
Yeah, we were gonna do like video stuff, which it was mostly my ambition, but I kind of realized after a month after us deciding that is what we wanted to do, and no progress being made. I'm just like, well, let's compromise, meet in the middle.
It was really just because I needed to go to IKEA and pick up things, and we were never able to go do that.
I kept either being busy or not wanting to.
Fair.
So,
yeah.
And that kind of leads into the second reason, which Benny, the comic historian, finally got me into Final Fantasy XIV, which is an MMO. And I love me some good MMOs. I think I've talked about the Old Republic in the past.
That's
on
true.
This podcast,
yes.
Which I don't play anymore, but I am now playing Final Fantasy XIV, and it has consumed my life in a more healthy way than most other games. Because most other games, you know how I play games.
Yeah.
I get them, and I go dark.
You sure do.
Destroy my social health and sleep schedule lives.
I'm quite the opposite with video games. I was very, and still am very, very interested in playing Mario Odyssey. I just don't have I don't have a Switch, but we loaded it up one day while I was here, and I played for about 20 minutes, and I was like, that's enough for me.
I was very perplexed by that.
Yeah, Yeah, like you had like sat down with like a plate of food, like ready to watch me eat, and I was like, no, I'm pretty much done.
Like, oh,
I'm like, but not that it wasn't great. It was a ton of fun. I just don't play games for long periods of time. I just the other day finally beat Rise of the Tomb Raider, which is a years old game.
Lord. That's the first one.
No, that's the second one.
Okay.
The first one also took me about a year
right.
to do, and this one took me an additional
You ready for the movie now?
I sure am. I'm so ready. I know people are criticizing the movie for like the whole like the fate of the world depends on you or whatever. I don't know. But like I'm still going to go see it. It looks fun. It looks fun. I like the some of the actors in it. And I'm not going to really judge it from a video game movie standpoint. I'm going to judge I'm going to judge it from a movie. I like this character and I want to see some cool stuff happen, and it looks like it has a lot of cool stuff.
Yeah, I'm on board with that idea.
Yeah, man.
Where was I?
I
was done with my explanation. That's where
you've just been sucked into video game.
Yeah, I've been playing Final Fantasy. I've been working on other projects. Kind of a more intimate update for the fans of this channel specifically, and not the online podcast. I know the last thing I posted was the first episode of season 4 of the show with reviews, which I had a ton of fun making. That was a lot of fun to make. I don't really know where to go from here on. Did you watch that at all or hear me talk about it?
No, I missed that.
Okay. So I reviewed Ruby, which, do you know what Ruby is?
Oh, yes, I did see. I mean, I didn't watch the video, but I saw that you made a thing about, like, you still don't like anime things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was a negative review of the Ruby manga, but I started season 4 because it was the first time I showed the newish set that I've had that you've seen many times.
Sure.
Because I've had it forever. But I wanted to try a new thing with it. So the way that I got to the actual Ruby manga was I went on Amazon's best-selling graphic novels and comics for that week and just clicked the first one, like the #1 best-selling thing, and that week it happened to be Ruby. And I recorded myself doing that and buying it. And then I filmed like a little
that's kind of fun
skit thing of getting it in the mail, like kind of a Scott Pilgrim-esque deal.
Yeah. Lots of like fast cuts and whatnot.
It's very Edgar Wright.
Rad.
Kevin helped me
I
do
like
that.
I'm gonna just an additional story for later. You can finish, but
That's fine. It's the point of this podcast.
Okay, I went I went to a screening of Scott Pilgrim in theaters, which was awesome because if anyone doesn't know, Scott Pilgrim vs. the World is my favorite movie of all time. There is not a movie that is better than Scott Pilgrim. It's incredible. And
Can that be your little? I know you've been wanting to start that podcast.
Yeah.
Can that be like your little mini podcast within this podcast?
Where I talk about other movies I've seen, and I'm just like, it's still not as good as Scott Pilgrim. Yeah, totally. I missed the chance to see it in theaters when it first aired, when it first released, all those years ago, because the trailers were not very good, and I didn't know what I was getting into. I very specifically remember watching a trailer and going, wow, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. And then after years or maybe about a year after it was released, I saw some friends tweeting about it, and I was like, you know what? I'm in a mood where I want to try to catch up on movies I haven't seen, and I watched it and I fell in love with it. But I always felt bad that I never got to watch it in theaters. So recently, a friend and fan of NerdSync who lives around this area contacted me and was like, hey, just so you know you're a huge fan of Scott Pilgrim. They're having this screening of Scott Pilgrim at the Alamo Draft House. You should go hang out. And I was like, I do want to do that. But I just couldn't find when they were announcing it and everything like that. So thank God this guy told me about it.
Yeah.
And the only thing that was available was front row. Which is typically not ideal.
No.
But at the Alamo, they still give you a lot of room, so you're not like
worst
it's not the worst. And also in this particular case, it was very fun because obviously they have props because it's you're encouraged. It's one of those typically at the Alamo. What I love about it is their zero tolerance policy for talking, which is very helpful.
You will get booted.
You will get booted, and it's great. But at this particular thing, because it was a fan screening, they encouraged you to quote along with it, to sing along with it. They basically just said no idle chatter. You can't just talk during it.
Sure.
But if you want to sing, if you want to quote every single line of the movie out loud, great. I did that a lot. I was in the front, so at least I wasn't projecting onto somebody in front of me.
Fair.
Plus, it's just there's so many funny lines, man. I love it.
Movie.
But they had props, and one of the props was they give everyone 7 coins to throw when each of the X's are defeated, and when you're in the front, you get peddled with coins. Just
oh no,
it's great. And And they also gave you little like glow light up sticks.
I saw some people with those.
Yeah, that was, and then we would rock out to those or sway them for slow songs. It was incredible. I loved it. It was one of my favorite experiences for sure.
Nice, dude.
Yeah, man. I mean, I also I've been trying to catch up on movies that I haven't seen. Like I finally watched Split the other day.
Ooh.
Not as good as Scott Pilgrim.
Fair.
But it was pretty good. I quite enjoyed it.
What'd you think? Spoilers for Split, probably.
Spoilers for Split.
What'd you think of the ending?
I was very underwhelmed by it because I've never seen that other movie that it references.
I was just kind of the whole. So again, spoilers for Split. It's a really good movie. Up
it is
until
great.
what I'm about to say. I didn't like the turn of events of him actually having powers.
Yeah.
That's the whole thing that I hated. And I know that they're trying to connect it to, what's it called, the other movie?
Untouchables?
Yeah, they're trying to connect it to that.
Or Untouchable?
And
Singular? I don't know.
It doesn't matter.
No.
I get that, but like at the same time, that ruins the whole kind of nuance of like mental illness.
No, that was
going for.
That was taken out for me as soon as they revealed that the other personalities had other physical traits that the other ones didn't. Like how one of them has diabetes, but the other ones don't. And I was like, that's ridiculous.
Well, I still kind of saw that as like he thinks that this one has diabetes and the others.
Right, but what the doctor was saying throughout was it's not just a mental thing. There are actual with multiple personality disorder. They actually physically change, and I was like, that's a bridge too far. But all right, fair enough.
That you might know more about that stuff than I do. Which
what are you trying to say?
Why you got pulled.
What are you trying to tell us?
I'm trying to tell you that you've done multiple videos on Moon Knight. Not that you have DID, Scott. This is not a slight towards your mental health. I'm saying that you are genuinely more educated than I am.
All right, we forgive you.
We? Oh, no. Yeah, so... but it's a good movie. I went on a rampage on Twitter about it a while ago when I watched it. And that was, I downloaded like 3 movies at one night. I downloaded like The Founder. Oh boy, what are you?
Oh, sorry.
What are you doing over there?
Jay tagged me in a tweet. I was trying to figure out what it was. Never mind. Our friend Jay from Jay's Comics. I can't keep all of you guys in Jay Likes Comics.
Fancy Jay?
That's the one.
One of the two.
I can't remember.
It's Fancy Teeth. Check him out. He's on Comic Storian now too. Everyone's on Comic Storian. Except you.
Except me.
No, it's just Jay and I. Which also, by the way, I know like I'm in charge of collecting people for Comic Storian. We're not accepting anyone new right now, so stop. Thanks. Please.
That's funny.
That's all I'm gonna say on that. I'm not gonna name any names.
I'm sure I get the there's one very particular person who's like a part of the notification squad for my channel, and they on every single video will comment, make a video about this, and it's not that I ignore them, and that's why they keep doing it.
Yeah,
I respond to them every time, and I'm just like,
nope.
I'll be like, yeah, it's on the list, or I heard you the first time, you know? And it's you don't have to keep saying, like, if I don't acknowledge you, then like that makes sense that you'd want to make sure that it got to my eyeballs or whatever. But if I go out of the way to multiple times reply with, I understand that you want me to make a video about this, then maybe like cool it, you know? Please leave comments because I love comments, but like, you don't have to leave the same comments on every video, unless it's just about how great I am, in which case I'll never get tired of those.
Fair. I don't think I ever finished talking about
you didn't
things.
Sorry. You were saying you were watching.
Again, you don't have to apologize. I'm just trying to continue the conversation.
I got
bring
you.
it back to our original point. You know, people get annoyed if they don't finish the thought. Like, look at Game Grumps. Everybody gets so angry when they don't finish a story.
You're absolutely right. And I try to, because even myself, we were in the car just earlier, and you were like saying a thing, but I interrupted for a different thought. And like, I keep a mental bank of all of the times I interrupt thoughts of other people.
That's a very good quality to have.
Yeah.
I do not.
The pitfall is that I don't remember the transition back. All I remember is that I interrupted them.
Okay, I see. So you're just like, yes,
So-
I interrupted there.
Well, so often I'll be like, I'm sorry, you were saying something, and I definitely interrupted you.
Yeah.
But usually
of the
it'll
time.
die off because we
Yeah,
don't know
forgot.
where it
Right.
was.
I know where I was though.
Yeah.
I was talking about the show with the views, I think. So yeah, the reason that the show with the views hasn't come, I know I kind of like pitched that episode. I'm addressing the Orms Comics fans now again. I kind of pitched that episode as the start of something that's gonna happen regularly.
It's the start of something new.
It feels so right.
Why is that burned into my mind?
It's because it's a good song,
You're right.
Scott.
You are right.
But the reason there hasn't been another one is pretty much all the reasons that I said for the online podcast not happening again. But also, I can't think of another thing other than just the Amazon thing to make it unique. And I might just do the Amazon thing again, but I don't know. Which I kind of did with Whatever Happened to the Man It's Tomorrow, because that's kind of an interesting thing. Like, this is a thing. It's kind of a plug for the What If series, which I don't know if I ever got to that. For those that don't know, my which I briefly mentioned earlier, the series that I have on Comic Story now is called What If, which I did mention that. But basically, it's talking about alternate universe stories based on Marvel's titular series What If, where
Sure.
like, what if this happened, or what if this happened. For DC, it's a little different. It's still the what ifs kind of thing, but most of them are under the Elseworlds brand, or the even earlier than that, what turned into the Elseworlds brand, which is Whatever Happened to the Man It's Tomorrow is a part of, is the Imaginary Stories brand, which is fun. And I'm gonna try and focus on that more.
I love that implies that all of the other stories aren't imaginary.
No, they make a joke about it. Let me find the line.
Oh, do they really?
They say that at the beginning of the thing. Like how the Watcher always has his little spiel. They say something about it here.
Is there like the Watcher has a spiel? There's like another character called like the Imagineer, and it's
Yeah, so all of the beginning spiel where they're like, this is the context of this universe, and then everything ends with, this is an imaginary story, but aren't they all? And then the story
that's
starts.
good. What is reality?
Oh God, please help.
Because like at first you're like, oh yeah, all the comic book stories are imaginary, aren't they? And it's like, no, all of them. Your own life.
Oh no.
You were blinked into existence by an artificial machine spewing out numbers and algorithms to create human life.
God's not a joke, Scott. How dare you? But anyway, yeah. So that's the status of the show with the reviews. I don't know why I'm kind of using this as a
yeah.
Anyway,
this also goes up on your channel. You could very easily have just done an update video.
I know, but like, I just want to quickly say that I've said this so much on Twitter, I'm working on things constantly, even like less so lately, because I've just kind of been doing work and playing Final Fantasy XIV, because my channel gets done in my free time,
right?
And lately my free time has been consumed by Final Fantasy, so sorry, suckers. But I do actually have like 4 scripts completely written.
There you go.
I just haven't done anything about them. I've talked about these in the past. I guess I'll say them here. That's fine. I've had this one's a little embarrassing. I have basically a full script written up. It's a character analysis of Peter Quill, Star-Lord, and his transition from Space Captain America, and I don't take no shit, and sometimes I make a joke, to I'm Chris Pratt, whoop-a-da-boo, woo. It's about that, and that's basically written up, and that's been written up since Guardians 2 came out, so about a year. And that's an episode of the show with reviews. I mean, the show with issues, and then I also have a character analysis of Kite Man called The Ballad of Kite Man, which it's based on the comic book story, The Ballad of Kite Man. The reason that one's been in development hell because I need voice actors for it, which I finally do have voice actors for it. But one of them is taking a while, which is the reason that. So I had to recast because the first person had been taking way too long. Yeah. And now I'm waiting on the second person. But They honestly probably forgot, and they know who they are, and they're probably listening to this right now.
Uh-oh.
And they're like, "Oh shit."
Uh-oh.
So you know who you are. Get those lines to me, bud. But anyway, so that's that one, and then a third one that I just kind of had the idea for when I woke up one day is it's about Spider-Gwen's universe, Earth 65, and my idea that I've had for a while, which I kind of wanted to do on Orum's forum, of Earth 65 being the next Ultimate Universe, and it's kind of founded on the idea that Earth 65 is the Ultimate Universe, but it's being done right this time. Not to say that the Ultimate Universe was done wrong, but it failed spectacularly.
This is true. These are facts.
Yeah. So yeah, that's more of like that's kind of a universe analysis of Earth 65 and the Ultimate Universe, with the linchpin being Spider-Man. And then I have the last one, which we might film today, which is about Supergirl, and it's for NerdSync. And it's kind of focused on Supergirl. It's about the Kryptonian accent and what the hell Kryptonians sound like.
Yeah. It's very interesting. I did a lot of so like when I because part of the thing I want to do this year is have like 2 guest videos a month, and we're actually pretty solidly planned out for the next few months, which is very exciting for me. But like I have a habit of like when people submit ideas or even just entirely completed videos or whatever, I have a habit of just like going in and doing my own research to either double check or fact check things. Number one, because I'm paranoid and I want to make sure that everything is fact checked to the best of its ability. But also number two, because there are certain things that stand out more to me that I'm just like,
sure,
I know this is your video, but like,
this is cool.
Man, this is super interesting. I would have definitely hit on this topic, and I do that for almost every video that gets submitted. Some of them are we had a really awesome video that hasn't come out yet, and won't come out for another month or so, but it's already done. And it was by another man named Scott from Friggin' Boom Toys. I don't know if you've heard of him.
Nope.
He's a relatively small channel. I say relatively in comparison to like what he's got, like less than 30,000, but it's still it's sizable. Sure. Yeah. And he does these really awesome cosplay videos, but it's not just like about cosplay or how to make cosplay. There's a lot of that, but he also does things like some of his more popular videos are things like trying to do parkour as Deathstroke, like in the Deathstroke armor. Like, could he actually do all these moves and things really like that? And so he has a video coming to the NerdSync channel that's going to be all about how Deathstroke, how his fighting style could be impacted by him only having one eye.
Yeah.
So he talks about obviously fighting, but also the movement aspect, doing like the parkour. He talks about his experience with trying to do parkour with only one eye, and how basically the whole idea is people assume it's, oh, you lose depth perception, but it's like, not really.
No.
Because like you're, you know, the best example, and I don't want to give away the whole video here, but like it's, you know, there's a lot of really basic things you can think about when it comes to depth perception that don't have to do with having two eyes. Like if you look down, like you can sense when something's further away from you just because it's smaller, you know?
Yeah.
And like you can judge size with one eye. So like you don't lose that as much depth perception as you think. It's more the trickiness comes from a different thing that I won't reveal, tease. But yeah, so like he submitted that video like in its entirety like 2 days after he was like, I have an idea, and then made it. Nice. So that was one of those things where I just didn't have time to really research it, but on my own. But I was like, you know what, this is really good though. It's really interesting. It has a lot of first-hand accounts of him trying to do things as Deathstroke, which is awesome. But then you'll get like, we have a video just the other day about a certain Black Panther arc that Redis did from Redis 101, plugging all the channels today. And that was one where I rewrote several paragraphs, and I basically just told him, hey, FYI, I rewrote 3 of these paragraphs. You don't have to use them.
Oh, no.
But, like, this is how I would say it if I were you.
Sure.
Obviously, put it in your own voice.
Right. Did he use them?
He did, and he said it
okay.
verbatim. So yeah,
Fair enough.
But I was like, you do not have to. I didn't rewrite them in the script. I rewrote them on like a side note card, and I was like, this is how I would do it. What you have now is fine, but like, this is what I would say and do. Just because I'm really anal about things like that.
Yeah. You didn't touch my script too much.
I haven't gone in to touch it yet.
Oh, okay. I thought you did, because you went and made some notes and did a research.
I did more research, but I didn't know. So it's tricky because I don't want to like obviously hijack the whole thing. But there were other like I sent you. I don't know if you got. I sent you a bunch of other links to the other day.
I read through them.
Yeah, I thought a lot of it was interesting, like just in the terms of talking about the history of the language and whatnot. And I know you touched on some of that.
Yeah, I added a paragraph or two after we talked about it. But I think it's in a pretty okay point. But we're gonna probably look at that later.
Look at that. Yeah.
But yeah. So what? I think that kind of covers me.
Yeah.
Where have you been?
I've been just cranking away, making a lot of videos. I'm trying to get on a better schedule this year. I say that every year. But
seems like you're sticking to it though this time.
Sticking to it. I hate the realization that really it really on YouTube it is just quantity over quality most of the time.
Yeah.
Because like I uploaded a video that I was very proud of and I spent a lot of time on, and a lot of people said it was their favorite video that I've ever made and uploaded. And it just didn't do very well. And so I knew it wasn't going to do very well anyway. But like it just made me really frustrated and being like, man, you could put so much time and effort into doing a thing when all YouTube really cares about is making more of a thing and without having to put that much effort into it. And that made me really sad and kind of defeated. But yeah, I don't know. I have a lot of video scripts written, but the problem is they're so long.
Yeah, we were talking about this a little earlier.
I just every year I feel like I write longer and longer videos.
Yeah. And
that makes it harder to make them more frequently.
Have you considered parting?
Doing like a part? No, I don't like that.
No, that's fair.
I want
YouTube would like.
I only do that if the topics are different. I don't. Yeah, I don't want to do like, here's the part 1 of this. I don't want to give half an idea in a video and then wait another week to do another half. Like I have like a 4-part Wonder Woman series that will be up. It's dispersed over a couple months, so it's not going to be like, because I know some people are going to be like, I get it, Wonder Woman, blah blah. So I'm not going to release it all at once, but it's just going to be over like one a month for the next couple months or so. But those are all different topics. Those are they're tangentially related. They're all talking about the lasso of truth, but they're all from different angles. There's stuff like how it works in terms of like the function inside of the comic books, like what the does it actually produce truth no matter what, or is it just based off of what the person believes wholeheartedly? Like I use the example of, if Wonder Woman put a lasso of truth around a flat earther, would it make them say that the earth is round, or would they still
yes, it would.
or would it make them profess the thing that they most believe to be true, which is that they're an idiot.
My favorite thing about flat earthers, which if I'm alienating part of my audience by bashing flat earthers, I'm cool with that.
Yeah, that's fine.
Is just the point where there is definitely a point in every flat earthers argument where they're just like, oh, that's fake.
Yeah, right.
At a certain point, they're like, what about these pictures from space where we've gone to space and been in space and taken pictures of the round Earth?
You remember how we just shot a Tesla into space and got those round Earth photos behind it?
No, it's the government.
It's a disc.
Elon Musk is
a flat.
He's a cuck. He's not real.
What'd you think of the Tesla SpaceX?
It's so extra and I love it.
It's so good.
I love everything about it.
I genuinely can't believe that it's real, which is why it's fake and the Earth is flat.
I saw a video on the wonderful subreddit YouTube Haiku the other day. where it was about Elon Musk's like journey over the past couple years, where it's basically like, so one day Elon Musk woke up and had a slow time getting to work, so he wanted to build some tunnels. So he started a company to build tunnels and sold hats to fund it. Then he got bored with that and started selling flamethrowers.
That's right.
And then one day he woke up again and was like, I don't like my car anymore. I'm going to shoot it into fucking space. It's a really quality video.
He is just, Elon Musk is just so interesting. He's such an interesting human.
I hate and love him so much.
Yeah. I just...
There are times where he'll tweet some shit and I'm like, all right, come on, Elon Musk, calm down. But then other times he shoots his fucking car in his face for no reason. You're like, okay.
He has a really funny sense of humor to me.
Yeah.
Like naming the tunneling company the boring company.
Yeah. It's a quality. Elon Musk, if you're out there, and I know you are.
Yeah.
Send us a flamethrower.
Yeah, dude. I'll take a flamethrower.
We were actually... Do not send us a flamethrower.
Yeah, that's fine. I was actually talking about this with people in my Discord server about how... Because I just released a video about Captain Cold and, like, some of the science behind his stuff. And I briefly mentioned at the end of it, like, we didn't get to touch on the differences between Captain Cold's gun and Mr. Freeze's gun, which, depending on the continuity... I believe Mr. Freeze's gun actually chemically changes people into ice.
Oh.
Which is, you can't thaw them out. They just melt into a human puddle. And there are other differences, obviously, depending on continuity, of course. Some writers will do whatever. But then someone was like, so what's so special about, like, Heatwave's gun, for example? Is it just a flamethrower? And I was like... It feels kind of like just a flamethrower. And then some people were like, well, what's the problem with that? He's very efficient with it. I'm like, no, it's not a problem, but it's like, imagine if we had a buddy cop movie where one of them had like a high-tech disintegration ray and the other one had a gun. Like, yeah, sure, he can do a lot with that gun, but one of them is inherently flashier.
Yeah, exactly. Don't need that. I kind of like the idea that if Mr. Freeze's here's a good example. I would stop us from talking about this in previous episodes.
Okay. Yeah.
See? Fostering
We're
the
talking
comic.
about it.
I like the idea that if Mr. Freeze's gun actually turns people like molecularly into ice, that Captain Cold takes the opposite approach and he just makes people real chilly.
I thought you were gonna say he turns ice into people.
No, that's another good angle.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
But he just shoots him. He's like, "Ha, Barry, take this."
It's
and
just
then
like,
he shoots
ooh,
him.
I need a jacket.
Give me a little bit of a cardigan.
No, it's really interesting. I mean, this is one of those things where I feel like the writers absolutely didn't plan it to be this cool and like metaphorical. That is a joke that we ran into a lot when writing and editing the video.
Yeah, I feel like it's harder to avoid cold puns at this point.
But like it's one of the, it's just like Snart is a thief.
Yes.
So are tons of other early Flash villains. But the fact that being cold is the process that being cold is the process of energy being taken away from something really solidifies. It's very it's really cool. It's a cool analogy of like he's a thief and his I get it. He's a thief and his powers are thieves. Okay.
He's calling as cool as the same word.
Hey, chill.
You know what I kind of realized?
Yeah.
This podcast doesn't have a point.
Yeah. That's the point.
Are we okay? Oh shit. Are we okay with that? How would we all right, here's a fun improv and or just like real question.
Let's go for it.
How would we advertise this?
How would we advertise it?
Yeah, if we had like a 1 minute or like a 30-second radio ad or we wanted to buy advertising somewhere. How the hell?
Well, that's the problem with doing a personality-driven podcast.
Right.
Is it's sold off of the personalities,
right?
And we're just two dumb idiots.
That's true. I feel like we need like some kind of linchpin.
Yeah,
because I've been listening to a lot of podcasts lately as I play Final Fantasy, and one of which is My Brother and Me, which is a very popular podcast.
Yeah, I've heard of it. I've never heard it, but I've heard of it.
Do you know who Griffin McElroy is?
That name sounds familiar.
Have you seen any of Monster Factory?
That name sounds familiar.
I feel like Kevin and or myself have made you watch Monster Factory. at some point.
Probably.
But anyway, he's the one of the two boys behind that. But it's basically a conversational podcast, but their linchpin is that they take and they have different segments, but their linchpin is that they take advice or questions
And
from
give advice.
from audiences and
That's a very popular thing
advice.
for sure.
and it's very funny, and they're three very funny brothers.
I do like the idea of having, not necessarily, gimmick is too strong of a word, but like having
A thing.
a structure of some kind that
I think that would help.
I think I like that. I mean,
Not help.
I don't know if this is still a podcast that's going on, but there was another very similar thing where they would go on to the website Quora and just pick out questions and give answers.
That's one of similar to one of the segments on Mobim Bam, as it is referred to.
Really?
Because it's an acronym.
I got it. I get it.
Is Griffin will get questions from Yahoo Answers that he has sent.
I like it. There was one of the first podcasts I ever did was called "Let's See Where It Goes," and it was we just flipped through a dictionary, pointed at a word, and that was our jumping off point for the whole podcast.
It's a good time, but also at the same time, I don't want to like pigeonhole us into one thing, which is why the idea of a conversational podcast is good. But
well, we could always divide it, right? We could start the episode by just doing a conversational thing to get off whatever we want to say, and then we could move into the main thing that we need to talk need to do. Because like that's what more podcasts. That's kind of what Doug Loves Movies does, which is pretty much, for all intents and purposes, a movie game show podcast. But like for the first half of it, it's just conversation, and then they get into the trivia. Kind
of like a panel.
Yeah.
Most of it's not Q&A, but then it's suddenly it's Q&A.
Yeah, basically.
So now the question is,
what's our thing?
What do we do?
It is live, so if you want to write, give us suggestions.
This is a bit that goes nowhere.
I know.
There's nothing to add on to this bit.
There is nothing.
It's a dying. It's a non-starter, Scott. I don't know what we could do.
But in the comments, though, for real, though.
Yeah, I guess just tell us. What do you want us to do?
I mean, do you want to like brainstorm right now some ideas?
Sure.
Yeah, let's go for it.
What have we done in the past that's been like a thing? Because our only thing that we started... Because the conceptual thing of this was we would randomly generate a name each time, and then we would go from there.
But that wasn't the jumping off point for a conversation.
It was just the title.
It was just a fun title.
It ended up kind of being like, for the first 5 minutes or so, we would riff off of it.
Yes. But then there would be either a lull, or we would just be like, all right, can I talk about this thing that it would be a non sequitur of some kind.
I'm just concerned about branding mostly.
Yeah, that's fair.
Our branding's all over the place.
Well, I mean, we don't... Here's the thing that I
started this podcast by calling myself John C. Reilly.
But so here's the thing that I'm thinking, right? Is we don't need to come up with something original.
No.
Because like advice columns have been around forever.
Yeah. I would love to do that, like user submitted questions and stuff. But I don't think we have a big enough fan base to do that. I don't know. Maybe we could do that.
I think the more engagement and audience.
I guess because it's on YouTube now, people will.
Yeah, people will join in.
We'll talk more,
and we can promote it better. And
you know what? Yeah. Let's send us some shit.
Do you want to tweet about it right now and see if we can get a response of anybody?
Oh, sure.
Follow us on.
I kind of hinted at it earlier. By the way, this is dropping like today.
Oh, okay. Are we recording multiple or just this one?
I want to get this one out, and then we'll see how we feel. And maybe by the time we get it out and we can record the Supergirl video, then might have some questions.
Should I at least still tweet? Hey, that way we can give time to send people.
Are you tweeting on the online podcast Twitter?
Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
I mean, I'll retweet it from somewhere.
Yeah.
That has more followers. Hey, follow us on an online podcast.
We really need to
on Twitter.
Is the online podcast still taken?
It probably is.
Let me see. Let's see if we can talk. Do you know anybody at Twitter? You're not verified. Never mind.
Nope. I wish I was.
The online podcast. Who even has that? Was there a reason we couldn't get it?
Yeah, somebody else had it.
Are you sure?
Yeah, I think so.
I don't have that.
Oh, okay.
Wait, let me see if I can change it real quick.
Okay.
Bear with us, folks. Hey, tell them a story while I do this. Or
Okay.
you're tweeting.
No, that's fine. Okay. Just like a personal life story.
Sure.
Well, while we're recording this, it is Valentine's Day. So this is how two grown men are spending their Valentine's Day. Just by looking at each other's eyes across from the table.
I'm looking at my phone.
He's looking at his phone, which is fine, you know. That's what I expect out of this relationship. What?
It's too long.
Oh, that's
what it was.
Gotcha. And then somebody else just has online podcast.
Well, let's see about that.
Think so. If we want to be really obnoxious, we could change it to online podcast.
I just hate the way that an online podcast sounds like.
Really?
I don't like it. I think it's fine, but like this would be the time to change.
Well, yeah. So I mean, what if it is online? What if we just do the really annoying thing and just have it be pod instead of podcast and just be online pod? Is that available?
How about the on pod?
The on pod?
The on pod.
Is that available?
Yeah.
The on pod.
The on pod. It could also be read as Theo and Pod.
That's our mascot.
That's the third.
Theo and Pod.
We agree on that.
Let's do it.
The on pod.
I love it.
All right.
Follow us at the on pod.
Or
you
Theo
witnessed us change it. Or Theo and Pod. Can the name instead of the username? Can the name just be Theo and Pod?
Yeah, sure. Let me change that. He's sentient.
Should we not change it until after we publish this episode? Because
I want people to be very confused.
All right.
Currently, it ain't produced by NerdSync anymore. Get out of here. It's on my channel.
That's
bitch.
right.
I like that our location is cyberspace. This is very vain. This current segment. Did you not tweet a thing?
I was going to.
But then I told you to.
Yeah.
Do a thing. Okay.
Gotcha.
I'll
I tweeted it out. I got it. Yep.
Oh God.
I'm gonna end all tweets with -Theo, as if it's Theo's talking and tweeting.
I don't see it. Where is it?
I don't know. I sent it out though.
The on pod. Oh God. Hold on.
Theo and Pod.
Hey, send us something you want advice about.
Oh.
Theo's consuming me.
Theo. No.
All right. Cool.
All right.
This is now an advice show.
It now is, gang. Whether you want it or not.
Yep.
Advice, or is it just limited to...
anything.
Yeah, literally advice
Send
about
us a
anything.
question
I mean, yeah, it doesn't
advice
have... Yeah, it could be a personal thing. It could be like a professional thing. It could be a... I don't know, if you're like...
Specific editing question.
If you're trying to figure out how long to wait for like your microwave dinner to cool, send it in. Any advice that you need.
I would see, my personal ruling is you don't wait. You just kind of...
You just dive right in?
Yeah, and then test the waters. Trial by fire.
My personal experience is I forget that I cooked a food, come back an hour later to it being room temperature.
That's the worst.
And then try again.
I have I have a very emotional reaction when it comes to food. So if for example, if somebody gets me food and then it's just there and I don't realize that it's there and I come back to it later and I see that there's food, I get very sad because it's ruined now. It's that's happened multiple times in my life.
Oh,
like there was one time where Drake, youtube.com/comic Drake, he was like, I was in Colorado. He didn't know that apparently, and he dropped like some food on my doorstep.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh no, I'm not there to get it. So I told my mom to go like put it in, but I think it was bad by the time I got back.
That sounds right. That sounds like food.
It was real sad. But anyway,
man. Like, so there's a part of me that makes excuses to like eat terrible things for me.
Yeah.
And lately it's been just lots of pizza, because I always feel like every time I upload a video, it still feels like an accomplishment to me. So I'm like, pizza time.
Don't Google that.
No. Oh boy. But yeah, so like I've been eating like way more pizza than I should recently because I've been uploading a little bit more than I should recently.
Fair.
I try to do just like once a month. But anyway, the point I was trying to get across is like, it's Valentine's Day, so I was like, I want to go eat something sweet right now. But even though my stomach's like, no, you do not. but my brain is like, yes, I want that.
Let's get some pizza later.
No, I just had pizza.
Oh.
I just uploaded a video.
Oh, okay. Well, let's do something later. Because
Yeah.
it's Valentine's Day.
It is.
And we're recording the online podcast again.
Whoa.
So, we got multiple
I'm
things to
loving
celebrate.
that.
I'm loving it. Say your catchphrase.
I'm Scott.
Oh.
Oh, God.
It's my fetish.
Look for our t-shirts. That's our merch coming soon.
Link in bio.
Do you have a catchphrase?
No? Do
Okay. I don't think so.
I didn't think so either.
Also,
My
just to
catchphrase
be clear to anyone new, I don't consider that my catchphrase.
Yeah, but you respond to it when I say that.
Dylan considers it my catchphrase.
Many people consider it your catchphrase.
Okay.
I think that's probably gonna do it
How long have we been going
for
for?
this one. About an hour.
Wow, it seems like way longer, honestly.
Really?
It seems like we've been going for 90 minutes.
Oh, okay. Well, I don't know if that's good or bad.
I mean, talking to you is a chore.
Damn.
Mm.
Well, that's why we're no longer. That's why we're an advice.
That's
show
why we're
now,
advice.
So we can talk about other people. But no. Let us know what you think about our return.
Yeah. Should they send us advice for continuing this podcast and whatnot?
Yeah, sure. Give us advice.
We'll have a segment where a big portion will be us giving you advice,
Mhm.
and then we could also have a segment where we feature advice from you guys
Sure.
about random things. If you have a life hack or whatevs.
We're really just figuring this out.
Yeah, man.
We're just a couple boys.
It's going to be trial and error. We're going to look back at this 400 episodes later and being like, wow, I can't believe we used to be an advice thing. All we talk about now is
Our heads being in water chambers.
how long in the future do you think this is going to... We'll still be humans. Like, we're not going to be dead 400 episodes from now.
At this rate, we're only on 32.
You know
It's
what?
been 2 years.
You're right. You are right.
Google Trends or no, not Google, Social Blade would tell you that we're not going to hit 400.
So where my mind went before the water or the head in like tanks of water,
Mhm.
I thought we were gonna evolve into a Zaboomafoo fan cast.
Oh, sure. I feel like that's your secret love that you actually want to do.
I don't have any secret loves. I'm very open about the things that
Zaboomafoo
that I really love.
And Big Wolf on Campus.
And Big Wolf on Campus and Scott Pilgrim and Scooby Doo.
Oh boy,
Those are my things.
those are your secret loves.
And I also make videos of comic books and superheroes.
Oh, you sure do. Did we have a sign off? I know we had the book.
You had a
thing,
book
but I don't have
closing.
the book anymore.
Oh, just like it was social media.
Oh yeah.
Plug-in things. You can follow. I mean, obviously, the most important thing is to go to the On Pod.
The On Pod.
At
Twitter,
the On Pod.
At the On Pod. That's the new one.
That's the new one.
If you're suddenly following a Twitter account called the On Pod instead of An Online Podcast,
Please panic
yeah,
and ask advice
send us
questions.
mean-spirited
Gifts.
things,
Yeah.
gifts. Yeah, you want to go first?
Yeah, sure. You can follow me. In case you've forgotten and you're new, my name is Scott from the channel Nerd Sync.
or that was never clear throughout this whole
Yeah,
time.
if we never actually got around to it, great point. My name is Scott from the channel Nerd Sync.
Yeah.
You can follow me. I tried to express earlier, my vanity URL is pretty much broken right now, and I don't know why. We're trying to fix it. So just search NerdSync into YouTube, and you'll find it. NERDSYNC, all one word. And same on Twitter. It's at NerdSync, but my personal one is at Scott Nicewander.
That's where you get the good stuff.
That's where you get the good stuff. And I mean, you can just I'm very simple. All of my handles are the same across all social media. It's just Scott Nicewander on literally everything. Because what person would do Scott Nicewander? Because there's never been another Scott Nicewander that exists on this planet.
There's like 12.
There's actually before my face was more prevalent, Google Images would have some very silly gentleman
good.
named Scott
It's you from the
Nicewander.
future.
It really is. There's someone who I'm pretty sure is a recovering meth addict.
Yes.
So
Your
there
future
you go.
coming.
That's me.
All right, cool. Like I said, I'm Dylan, also known as Orm. You know who I am. mostly because this is on my channel. Unless you're coming here from Scott promoting it or elsewhere promoting it. Oh, also, hey Dennis, I'm sorry. If you're listening to this, you're out. You're done.
Dennis is out?
Dennis is fired.
No!
Dennis is done.
Dennis was replaced by Theo.
What? I don't know what use we would have for Dennis anymore.
Dennis, you're great, but get out of here.
This frees up more time for Dennis to work on his own personal projects.
Yeah.
And whatever he does for a living. What does Dennis do for a living? Hey Dennis, what do you do for a living?
These are all great questions.
Anyway, our local menace is no longer with us. He's dead. R.I.P. You can find me here on this channel or on Twitter at Orem Alexander. But yeah, again, follow the On Pod. Crazy, wild, wacky tweets from Scott, myself, and the third coming at you.
And also send questions. That's the more important part.
Yeah, do that mostly. If you don't do anything, either comment here or tweet at us or scrawl it on your wall, and it'll just like mentally send it to.
Should we do a hashtag like Ask Theo?
Yeah, sure. Hashtag Ask Theo.
Both on Twitter and in the comments. It's easier to filter that way.
Yeah, do that. Anyway. Let's try out some kind of sign off.
Okay.
I've been Dylan.
I've not.
And that's the way the cookie crumbles.
For any of our viewers who have access to internet, we invite your comments.